Hello, hello. Testing, 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 testing. Okay. Good morning. Can everyone hear me all right? I'm using the mic for only the second time in its life, learning all about tech. Hello. Oh, that was from Baselines and Fantasies, and it used the notes of the G major scale, but it was in E natural minor. And yeah, it's so beautiful. It is the track that represents the animal, the vampire bat. But I sometimes don't tell students that. If I do that in a group setting, we will play it. Often that's one I've done in the dark. When I've done taught at Suzuki Institutes, and I've sometimes I get a room with a window, sometimes I don't. But if it's a room without a window, I'll just make sure no one is going to stand up and walk around with instruments. And then I'll turn off the light, and I usually carry a flashlight in my purse, and I'll just put that in the middle of the circle. And we'll go around in a circle, just improvising. And I put it on repeat. And Baselines and Fantasies, the beginnings of the track don't count in. They don't say exercise number 13, click, click, click. They just start. And I kind of like that. But it's fine. So in the fun improvisation, it says exercise number 13 and it clicks the beats. But as a result, I can put that on a loop and it almost seamlessly starts and stops. So it's very good in a group setting when you're creating a mood with the students and you don't want that mood broken by the narrator speaking. How's everyone doing this morning or afternoon or early, very, very early morning? I think it's morning for everyone. I was messaging with my friend Evelyn. So there's a person taking this course in Hong Kong. Oops. Sorry, I have a lot of things plugged into my computer right now. Just gonna, because of the mic and everything. Okay. And it's 12 hours difference. So I was chatting while I was getting my breakfast and she was getting her dinner. And on that note, you'll be getting an email from me very soon with 2 dates and times of jam sessions. And because Evelyn has not been able to attend any of these sessions live, one of the sessions is not going to work for her, and the other one I think will not work so well for my West Coast friends. But since she really has not ever been able to attend, I wanted to make sure that she could at least attend one that wasn't literally at 4 a.m. for her or whatever it is. So you'll be hearing from me very soon about that. Let me just adjust this so it's not so glaring. So I just wanted to open the floor, and if there are any questions, burning questions, go right ahead. I have a few things planned as well, but I'd like to just, if you have any questions, then the Zoom is open.
Laura, I have one, and that was just you've given us all this amazing information, and it's like, okay, I'm going to be starting a class up in 2 weeks. And what would you see as being the priorities for like an opening class of what would that look like from your perspective?
What level is that going to be, Anita?
2-3, book 2-3 mostly.
Okay, that's
with a few with some pre-twinklers thrown in.
Whoa, book 2-3 plus pre-twinkle.
Right?
Great.
Yeah.
No challenge is too small. Okay, so the first priority, if you're thinking about a Suzuki group class and starting a Suzuki group class, those of you who are Suzuki teachers, what do you do first? You talk to the parents. So that's your pre-class step, is communication with parents. Sort of to give them a sense of what they can expect from this class moving forward throughout the school year, if that's your intention. If it's not, if I'm understanding, it's not going to be a one-off thing. It's going to be a continued, and is it going to be a dedicated creative ability development class?
It'll be split with that, some rhythm work and technique repertoire work.
Lovely.
Suzuki.
Okay, that's what I do. Yeah, Sarah Smolin does that too. Yeah, that's the most common format. Although Alice cannot get her program, she has dedicated repertoire classes, Suzuki Rep, and then dedicated CAD. So after you've spoken with the parents, then you always want to think about the elements you want to teach in every class. So giving students the opportunity to work on communication, giving students the opportunity in a first class to hide. So games like soccer with the pizzicato is really a lot of fun for book 2 and 3 students. And you teach violin. So, that learning how to do that just by watching you do it is going to be really fun for them. And some even in book 2 or 3, they're going to pluck one string and slide up the other, which I've done. You're in the moment. So any of the games that you choose have to be the most quote unquote non-spotlighty. So you're teaching in person, correct? So create, whether you're going to be playing the piano or you're going to be creating, having recordings playing, you want to make sure they can hide within those. So having the start stop game be a game you spend time on, and then the tapping game, as well as soccer, you can, that would be a class. That would be a first class. Um, I see some, what soundtrack? Okay, recommended order plus technique and
What's the start stop game again?
start stop is where you're either playing the piano or you have a recording going, and it's fine. You have a recording going. They play when you play, or they play when they hear the music. They stop when you stop. That's the rules. It's very simple. It's a listening game, and it also gives the advantage to those most reticent, shy students tend to do extremely well at this game, because once one of them bleeds, that person is out of the game and has to sit down if it's violin, and they would be standing, or is simply out of the game. So it gives that advantage. And then the winner of the start stop game becomes the tapper. So you again put on a recording or you sit at the piano, and the tapper taps the head of anyone else who they want to play. And you just have to make sure that the tapper is going to be one who's going to tap a lot of heads. You know, not just one person for 5 minutes. You whisper to them, get a lot of people playing. You know, right away, get a lot of people playing. And then they have fun turning on and off their classmates. So tap on. Now, if you have physical distancing in place and that's not a possibility, then you wouldn't do the tapping game. It's totally, adapt as required by local bylaws and comfort level of you and the parents. Point can be good. You can also create, a piece of paper with everyone's name, and the child can lift that up, but that can be a little confusing with a whole bunch of pieces of paper. But I've done the tapping game on Zoom where I was the tapper and I was typing. Was anyone there when we did that? I think, yes, Linda. That was.
Okay, so I guess when I think about like a first class, because I was actually, thank you, Anita, that was exactly where my questions were, is like, okay, where do we start, implementing this? And when you think about like places to hide and like a completely new thing that could be seen as, it's just totally uncharted territory. Then I think about a game like the tapping game as maybe not feeling as safe, or games with a winner as not feeling as safe to students. So like my mind goes more towards like tracks that they can, like, okay, here's a scale, I'm going to teach you the, pentatonic, whatever, and then we're going to maybe try the start and stop game, but not think of it as a winning losing thing. Or maybe that the start and stop game could be on repertoire they already know. I don't know.
I
I'm
would
confused.
definitely. You do not have to have the winner aspect to have it be a successful start and stop. You don't. The kids, that tends not to bother them because they're losing because they were playing out more. The ones who have to stop playing are the ones who were not hiding. This prioritizes the hiding student. And if I may, I would definitely start from a scale they already know. The first game you're going to play, you want to avoid teaching them a new scale. Save that for several weeks down the road. Or very advanced students who are just finding G major boring after once. But I haven't seen that to be the case. When I have introduced a new scale and improvising for the first time, that's too much. They are overwhelmed. So you just want the concept of improvisation, that breaking the ice, to be the total no such thing as a mistake situation. As soon as they're learning a new scale, they're already programmed. Which notes do I avoid? Which notes do I do? And again, some students, they're going to catch that. But you can remove the connection between playing past when you stop playing piano or when you've pressed pause on the recording. You can remove that altogether. I have done it without. In fact, when I first started teaching start stop, I, like you, did not, I shied away from that competitive aspect. I'm triggered by the word competition. Had some very unpleasant experiences. And then I tried it, and the kids found it funny. I mean, I tend to be on the goofy side of a group class teacher. And so it's pretty goofy. And you read the room, and absolutely reading the room means maybe today's not the day we make it any kind of winner. But I would stick with a scale they already know at first. Yes, Anita, go right
Could I,
ahead.
if I could add to that, I felt the same way. And then seeing Alice doing this with the kids in practice, it was like absolutely brilliant because the winner is always the shyest person who's holding back. And it's like all of a sudden it's like, and what it means to be winner is that now you get to be the tapper for the next game.
Yeah, you flip
So
the narrative.
and there's so much going on musically that they're totally hiding and being able to play and really be free in their expression. It was brilliant.
I think I would focus on those kind of games, and then soccer with the pizzicato, because again, really non-threatening, just to do pizzicato and look at the next person, and that's already a lot to do. They are used to playing and watching you, the teacher. They are not necessarily used to playing as they do the pizzicato, looking at that next person. That is going to be new, and it's fun, and you keep it really light and really, and we know the deep work that is happening. The parents, even though you will have spoken to them ahead of time, will think, oh, it's a fun addition to group class. Not all, but many, because they see the children giggling.
Can I ask a question really quick
Please, Julie.
about the tapping game? The tapping game is not just one person at a time, right? Like, so they have a bunch of people going all at once. I'm just making sure I understand. So you're not necessarily spotlighting one kid to play. It's a whole group. And okay, just making sure I'm understanding.
Yeah, I usually tell the tapper, get as many people playing as possible. If you're doing this on Zoom, choose someone who can type names, even if they're misspelled, it doesn't matter. And also who you know is going to get a lot of people playing at once. Of course, on Zoom, they're muted, so it's a different sort of safety. Go right ahead, Anita.
Laura, when we were in Chicago with Alice a couple of years ago, I videoed that game going on. Is that something that we could share just so teachers could get an idea of what that looks like? Or
Yeah. So, what format do you have it? Is it on YouTube? Because the easiest is, instead of sending a video, which is
yeah,
so
it is on.
huge,
I have a link. It's linked to a YouTube link.
just post it up on the Facebook page.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then knowing that that's going to stay within our group. This isn't
Yes.
public.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can just, so we all understand, that link is just for you. Thank you. That's
Would that be
wonderful.
helpful to other teachers to? Okay.
Excellent. Are there any other questions before we do some playing?
I would just love any opportunity to observe these things in action. That would be really helpful. Yeah.
Well, you are ahead of me. I'm going to be talking about that later
Oh well,
on.
Anita started it.
Oh yeah, no. You're both ahead of me. I love it. That's great. We'll be getting to that. Absolutely. Go right ahead, Pamela.
So I'm in the situation where I'm, planning repertoire for the school year for kids and trying to decide how many of them I want to order the book. And one of the things I was trying to remember is the recordings are both for them are just on the CD, or we can share the MP3s.
So it depends what book you're talking about. Are you talking about fun improvisation?
That's where I should start, right?
Yeah. So that's book one. You either start here or right. So for now, so you start
Well, I was
here.
thinking about starting with my middle school, high school kids, just because they might be more apt to it.
I would still start here. And I think, when you're talking about middle school, high school kids, what sounds cool to them, what we think is they are not necessarily the easiest ones to start. Beginners and book one are easier because they don't have preconceived notions about what is supposed to quote unquote sound good, about how they appear in front of their peers. It's been my experience with students with not a lot of experience. That's a lot of uses of the word experience, pardon me, that the ones who are closer to the beginning of a book take to this much more easily with much less psychological baggage. I had a chat with a family, a mom and her two daughters, and I teach both daughters. And the first daughter, who's now 14, starting high school, she was a transfer student, and her younger sister, who's 10, I started. And the older sister, I mean, not only was her previous teacher teaching her paint by numbers method of teaching violin, as opposed to any kind of learning by ear or even reading. She had pieces of paper with A, 1, 3, D, as see, Linda's eyes just got really big. So there was a big period of adjustment in that way for her just to learn how to learn by ear, and then to start learning how to read music as we actually read music, and then adding improvisation. I mean, this girl was going through a lot, and she's also always been very concerned, how am I being perceived? Whereas her younger sister just took to it like doo-doo-doo. And I have a video that I posted on the CAD teachers Facebook group. If you don't belong to this Facebook group, I think I've invited all of you, and many of you have joined. And if you don't belong and I missed you, I apologize, and I will rectify that. It's a Facebook group for us, for CAD teachers. And I shared, I did a project in kitchen utensil composition project with my students that I borrowed from Sarah Smolin. She's such a source of incredibly creative ideas. And I composed with my mushroom brush, which now we're not going to use it on food. It lives in my studio. And this second daughter of this family, who just took to improvisation and took to learning by ear so naturally because that's what she'd always done, she created a piece of music with her own notation using a cookbook. That was her instrument. And that video is posted there. So you can actually find things within any Facebook group. Any Facebook group has a search bar, search field, and you can type my name. And then you'll see everything I posted and everything I commented on. And if you still can't find it, I was told by the mother of this child that I'm allowed to share it only with with other CAD teachers. So if you can't find it there, just let me know, and you can see. So that's the long-winded answer to your question based on my experience.
So the younger ones are going to be less inhibited. And so it would be, I guess I was just trying to decide whether, in my mind, I was going to dapple with the little ones, but have the older ones order the book.
I see. Yeah, that I'm trying to remember what I did, because I was quite piecemeal back in the mid 2000 aughts, where I think I ended up being the kind of teacher, I went with those who showed a lot of interest. And today I do it completely differently. Everybody does it.
I have an 80-20 middle schooler that, this is going to be perfect. And this is the same group that I did La Folia, Make Our Own Variations last year. So it's not like they haven't had some improv over certain chords. But
wonderful. Wonderful. I would just not shy away from your younger ones. If you're doing it with the older ones, that would be my only, that's my 2 cents. But in the end, you're the boss.
Yeah, well, that gives me some good information. That's true, that we want them, just like in performing in Suzuki class, if they start doing it young, it's no big deal. So we want to be, so sounds good. Thanks.
You're very welcome. Are there any more questions? You can, if you have more questions after, if you come to them after, that's fine. Oh, Mackenzie raised her hand. Go ahead, Mackenzie.
Since you do a mixed group class, do you have a go-to format that you use for a certain number of minutes on CAD, certain number of minutes on technique? I'm just curious.
That's a great question. It has varied between in the past, and I might be doing things differently because I'm staying on Zoom until the end of this calendar year. And in fact,
so am I. So
yeah. And in fact, because of that, I find Zoom really lends itself well to the non-typical Suzuki rep class where we all play together. It doesn't seem to lend itself so well to that. That ends up just being, that'll be a part of it. I took Carrie Beth Hockett's group class Zoom course earlier this week, which was so much fun. And I'm definitely going to be playing some rhythm bingo. And then I'm going to be doing CAD. And the proportion in the past has been from half and half to all the way to 3/4 Suzuki, 1/4 CAD, and sometimes more CAD. It sort of depends, what's coming up. When we had an exchange coming up, we did more CAD because we were doing an improvisation exchange. But I foresee more half and half, and I might I'm considering dedicating classes to either Suzuki slash technique slash rhythm bingo and CAD so that they're going to be separate in the fall. I'm going to experiment with that because I think that that's, well, I think it's worth experimenting with. And I think with our online format, I mean, what do we have to lose? We need to try things.
Mm-hmm.
Great question.
What's the length of that class?
Oh, an hour.
And rhythm bingo, is that long, hard to describe? Or
So Carrie Beth Hockett invented it, and I still need to contact her to purchase it because while she made materials available to us for the purpose of the course, she was pretty clear that she would like us to purchase these materials from her. And it's everyone, you email ahead of time each of your students a bingo card. I just put mine in my scrap paper pile over there. I was tidying so that my daughter can draw on the other side. And so it has numbers like a bingo card, and each number has one measure of a specific rhythm, like da 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 da. The one we did was in 4/4 and fairly challenging, though she has an easier one. And then in the group, different people are the caller, and they clap or play the rhythm, and others say 31 or 17 when they got it, and they cross it out on their sheet. So instead of calling B12 or whatever, I haven't played bingo since elementary school, they clap or play a rhythm. It was really fun. We had a lot of fun playing,
okay,
and it works extremely well on Zoom. It's very conducive to this format.
thanks.
No, you're welcome. Go ahead.
Just as
Linda.
a quick aside related to that, my daughter was at a Suzuki Virtual Institute, and I just wanted to attest to the effectiveness of that on Zoom. It was slightly different where there was like a couple measure or one measure of a Vivaldi concerto in each square, and then the kids would play it, and then they had to figure out. It was pretty cool. Susan Crawford.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it worked really nicely.
You know, something occurs to me that has occurred to me since I just threw my group classes on Zoom in March, and I just sort of went for it, and some things worked well and some things definitely did not work well, is that it's really time to be more creative. I recently created a Google Doc with a supplementary listening list and links to live performances of great artists, solo violin, violin and piano or harpsichord, violin concertos, orchestral music, and chamber music. And I mean, it's a Google Doc, and they can edit it. The parents can edit it as well. Because parents have been, I mean, everything's canceled still here. There is soccer, but soccer involves, or basketball, it just involves skills drills. It's not, imagine if we said, no more rep, kids, it's just scales. I mean, everyone would quit. Except for me, I like scales. But so I think that this is, if you happen to have to stay online for whatever reason, it's just an opportunity to find new ways to make it work. And look, I can share performances through my computer screen with my students, and then we can talk about it. So there's a distinct possibility I'll be doing some of that in group class too. Just listening assignments, but together. Go ahead, Suzanne.
I was teaching, using a track in the lesson yesterday, and so I put it through my computer sound. Do you keep the students unmuted, or do you mute and let them do their thing, or how do you do it in a lesson?
I keep them unmuted. I mute myself to reduce sound, and I play with my volume because my computer volume controls how it's sounding for them, and I lower it as much as possible for them to still hear it. One of the pieces of information, I took an all things tech training last night, and what she was saying, the instructor, was that if your students can get any kind of earphone, they will hear much, much better. And gaming headphones, like that are apparently like $35 from Target. I don't know, we don't have Target anymore in Canada, but that can work really well as well. I think you have something similar, Mackenzie, where you have kind of the mic on the wand here. Yeah. And so students, that way you can lower it quite a bit and they can still hear the track, but you can also hear them. And I think we just understand that our students are going to have the setup they have, that we can do everything we can. We can encourage them to be closer to the router, get an Ethernet cable, make sure they have original sound enabled. That makes a significant difference. External mic is probably not going to be in the offing for many of them, but an earbud, almost all of them probably own earbuds, and the more advanced students can use those if that's possible and it doesn't bother them. And then after that, we have to understand that maybe we won't always hear them when they're improvising. So.
And
yes,
I
please.
was just going to say one more thing. So I also teach the babies, and last year since we went online, I sent them animations of Sansong, carnival animals, whatever, and had them draw pictures and show them online. So in the improv, is that kind of what that music for created? Oh, what is it called? The other book,
From the Heart,
improvisation for children.
So
is that book?
Yes, musical improvisation for. Right. Yes. Thank you, Pamela. That lends itself really well to that kind of drawing activity. When my daughter was young, I used it. She would dance, she would draw. Mostly she danced. And then she would kind of go to the piano and bash around because we have like a big living room, kitchen, circular area, and she could sort of dance around. And she loved that. There's a track called The Horse. Oh my gosh. I think I played that on repeat for days. She just fell in love with that one. It's just C major, boom, boom, C major and 1-5. I mean, it's really simple, but she would be the horse, walking and then trotting and then cantering and galloping. They're very evocative.
Oh, good. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pamela.
So I have a pre-twinkle class of violinists, but the activities in here seem really appropriate for that. It's piano, yeah.
Yeah, it's piano based. Sorry, I thought of your question, but I'm wrong.
But your daughter does both. But that idea of putting on a soundtrack for any instrument and letting them pretend to be a horse could be.
My daughter didn't start piano till she was 7. This activity predated any of that. It was just the piano is in the living room, and we always made it available to her as long as her hands were clean.
Right.
So it was not about, it was just always there. Just like her violin was pretty much always out of the case. So
I was thinking that I would adapt these for them, but the soundtracks are going to be they couldn't.
Yeah, there's already something coming out from the heart.
Right, from the heart.
That from the heart, and I've already emailed Alice and Andy, who's her artistic director, and said, please, 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 can I please get the information? I would love to be able to share it with you. And I haven't heard back. And I don't like bugging them too much, but I like bugging them a little bit. So I will send them another email because this is definitely something I want to share with you, particularly those of you who are violin teachers, because musical improvisation for children, it works with violinists. You can absolutely, I've done it on the piano, though, when they're still pre-twinklers or in more just creative movement. But
I have another book for piano that I've adapted and just changed it in a different key that worked on open strings.
Which one is that?
Oh, I could go grab it. Got it. So the California Music Teachers Association has a young composers curriculum, and at our convention, I attended their composition classes, and I got the book from that. It's on the piano. I'll be right back.
No, I think, is it pattern play? No. So Linda wrote something about it's a matter of the key. It's actually a little more than that. What Alice has done in From the Heart is she's created a system to teach beginning violin, and she is going to come up with versions for viola and cello that some of them are in strange, not unusual modes, but they only use open and 1 on D and A. So it's not just a matter of transposing it into A major, for instance, because it's not necessarily all in A major. It's a little bit of, she thought really hard, okay, if the students are only going to use open and 3 on D and A strings, or D and A and E, what modes fit in that? And then she wrote a piece in that. It's kind of brilliant. So you can also do it at a really advanced level where, oh, it's D Mixolydian or whatever it is. I'm just going off the top of my head for more advanced students. And I loved that about it. But you can also play just open in 3 or open in 2 or open 1 and 2. She did this on purpose to have it not just be an A major. So the kids are right away playing these modes. It's really brilliant. And I have been trying to make this available. As soon as I hear, you'll be the first to know. Yeah, I have a distribution list in my email. I will send this off to you so that you can play around with it, because it's really, really, it's unique and quite interesting and very beautiful. Pamela, you found your book.
This is Discovering Beginning Improvisation. It's by Faber and Faber with Edmund McLean.
Wonderful.
So they have one, they're pentatonic.
Nice. So it's F sharp pentatonic then.
But I just took the Exploring the Black Keys and I turned it into D, E, G, A, B, and then violin is G, D, A, D. I don't know.
Yeah.
I figured out.
Yeah, you can do that for sure. So what I'd like to do next is I'm going to send you into breakout rooms. I just want to make sure Gloria's, oh, there you are, Gloria. Gloria, can you play with us? Just want to make sure. I'm going to send breakout rooms. I can't hear you, my dear.
Sorry, I've been doing other things because I can't relate to this group violin class. It's like not applicable to me. So
Sure.
I've been listening, but I've been busy doing other things.
Apologies. So what we're going to do now is everyone's going to go in breakout room and we're going to play.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm in.
Thank you for being patient. So we're going to do breakout rooms, groups of 2. And, oh, I don't see Anita now. There you are. Okay, in your group of 2, you're going to take turns. The first, you decide who's going to do what. One person is going to be just hands. So you're going to put the hands right next to your camera, and the hands are going to mirror what the other person plays. This is the far out there moment of our morning together. So is that clear as mud? So maybe not. So I would like a volunteer who thinks they understand. So yes, Gloria, you want to be the hands? Okay.
Sure.
And I'll play. And so I'm going to play and your hands are going to be close. And when I've done this in the past, I always say the hands mirror, but sometimes subtle shifts happen, as in any music making or any artistic endeavor, where who's the leader, who's the follower, who knows? Okay, wonderful. Thank you. You have such graceful hands. Thank you.
I'm a pianist.
Yes, I know. Okay, so is that clearer? Wonderful. Here we go. Oh, gosh.
All right.
Okay. Do you want to play first, and I'm holding my
Have
violin,
your
so
instrument in your hand if
yeah.
you want.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll play.
I'm gonna get down here.
Okay.
my friend.
Thank you. All right. Hi, Laura.
Hello.
Hi,
Yeah.
Laura. We've been talking. Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Or am I doing just moving to the music?
All right, my turn.
Laura, was that how? So I was unclear.
I
Do
think
I?
we're just doing like interpretive dance moves with our hands as yeah.
Okay. Well, in
So
that case, let's
if your little wants to play, I will interpret.
let's put
You
it
want
in.
to make some sounds on your violin?
She's gonna dance while you play. And do Mississippi Step Step.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Here comes little brother. He is amazing.
It's a dance party. It's a twinkle dance party.
Right.
Yay! Thank you so much. That was great.
That was fun. Goodbye.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for letting me join you. So I wanted to finish by getting a little philosophical. So I have to tell you that what I love so much about teaching improvisation with creative ability development with CAD is that I feel that it educates the whole child. And it took me many years of training and practice and quite honestly battling my own self-doubts and preconceived notions to get to a place where I now feel comfortable teaching improvisation, but also very assured in my convictions, if that makes sense. So where I'm not, I don't doubt. I don't doubt my convictions. I really consider myself a lifelong learner. And since this COVID period, I've taken so many courses and trainings. I took a body mapping course. I took Alexander technique. I took violin technique training, Suzuki pedagogy training, improvisation, both as a player and improvisation pedagogy, group class techniques with Carrie Beth Hockett. And then last night, it was a presenting and recording all things tech, microphones, the software, the hardware for presenting and recording online. And so I've also started composing this summer, in part thanks to getting a little bit used to GarageBand, which I know I have to get used to, and I feel there's a steep learning curve there. And I've done some composition in the past, usually when it was assigned or just when the spirit moved me. But I've never felt very, very good at composing, even though I feel very comfortable improvising. So that's something else I'm still working on. So I want you to take a moment and just think about the kind of teacher you are. And I think that just the fact that you've been here for these past 6 weeks is very telling. And it reflects clearly your own desire to invest in yourself. And it's truly been an honor to spend this time with you. I always look forward to our sessions. And maybe you see, maybe you've joined us because you see there's something missing from music education, or maybe you've known for a while that there's more to Western classical music than what we call the canon of Western classical music, or maybe more to classical music than the canon of Western classical music, which I adore and revere. Let me make that perfectly clear. I am not going to stop playing Mozart, Beethoven, Schumann, or Ravel anytime soon. Maybe you feel there's a better way, more efficient, more creative way to help your students gain access to their own musical expression and creativity, which is something we've broached a little bit. I know we've been caught a lot in sort of the very specific aspects, and I appreciate Gloria and Jose, who aren't here, who are our pianists, bearing with us. Now I know a group experience and deciding to create a group experience for our students, if that is already in place, that's really easy to put CAD in. If you don't already have a group experience for your students, I can see how you might have to think about more, there's the word again, creative ways to integrate this, but it is definitely possible. And I know many piano teachers who do this already, and teachers who are not Suzuki teachers who create group experiences for their students. So it's really, it really, you're the boss. You know, like I said to Pamela earlier, you're the boss of your program. And whether you are like me and you just have, my students are my program, or you run or are part of a larger program, you end up being the boss of what you put out there. And so you end up being able to follow whatever your convictions are. And that's really important. I do one thing, and I hope I've expressed how I feel about this and what my approach is, but then in the end, you're definitely the boss. You know, it can be hard to, maybe some of you have started teaching improvisation this summer. Have any of you started incorporating it this summer in your teaching? I know, Anita, I think you were already teaching improvisation. Wonderful. and so for the rest of you, maybe you're, I'm thinking in French again, maybe you're looking at a fall or a school year where you're going to start little by little incorporating it, or maybe I definitely didn't do it all at once. I did it piecemeal over the course of several years, and that's a way to go too, because it builds your comfort level. And if you start with the students who already have that propensity, it helps you build your skills and your ease. There is no right way, there's no wrong way to do this. There is your way, as long as the three rules are intact and there's still no such thing as a mistake with your students and your teaching. So because developing creative playing ability, so for yourself, and also creative teaching ability take time. And Alice's original course, her 5-day course, is a 40-hour course. That's, I mean, and I've done much more than that. I did that course in 2015, but prior to that, I had attended conferences and workshops starting in the mid-2000s, so 2003 or 2004. But I also did Alice's program, and then I did a little more online training with Alice this past month. So I've actually been creating an 8th-month program that I chatted about with Anita briefly the other day, and it's designed to develop your skills as an improvisation teacher and also nurture your own skills as an improviser. So unlike this program where it was really intense, 6 weeks and twice a week and assignments coming fast and furious, this is approximately twice a month, depending on the month, and it's 90-minute sessions, so we can go a little bit deeper. It starts at the beginning of October and it goes until mid to end of May. And so it really allows you to go deep and hone those skills over the course of a longer period of time, because this is really almost like, I mean, it's an intensive, but it's not the whole picture. So you also, in my program, you get to work with me one-on-one. So you get 3 1-hour sessions to work with me. You get to come and observe me teach my students. If that's not possible, I could come in and work with your students. By come in, I mean through the magic of technology. Also, I will observe your teaching. And if you desire, give you feedback. If you do not want the feedback, I will just be there to smile and nod. I am lining up guest experts to come in and guest teach. I will, of course, create an online private community where I post the sessions just as I have, so you're accustomed to that. And the assignment structure will be similar, but also different. You'll have longer to do the assignments, understanding the realities of your life. And so this is definitely not for everyone, and I totally understand that. You will also have chances to practice teach, within our group. So to lead activities with us, and you will, as you already know, you will be included in the dedicated. As soon as that website is up, and again, it's me bugging Alice and Andy, when is the website up? You will be included on the website, a creative ability development website stating that you have done training. There will be teacher jam sessions, but you probably already know this. You are perpetually invited to any teacher jam sessions that I schedule in perpetuity. So you are already on my email list, and you will be getting an email today or tomorrow inviting you to one of the 2 that I'm scheduling for mid-September. And so anyone who does any training with me is invited in perpetuity, and all we just play. We do breakout rooms, we do stuff together, and we just play for an hour and have fun that way. And any additional support that you need, something comes up, you get in touch, I help you. There's an early bird specialist, you get an extra one-on-one session with me, and this is for teachers who register before Labor Day. So Labor Day this year is September 7th. There's always an investment, and I've created a cost that reflects basically the cost of this session, and I'm working on figuring out what it's going to be in Canadian. In the US, so my Canadian friends, hold on, and I will have to go to the conversion website. For my US friends, it's $3,500. There are payment plans to suit your needs. And I'm also going to be making scholarships available to Black, Indigenous, and Latinx music teachers who are often underrepresented in our field. So if you are part of one of those communities, please let me know. And there's a scholarship available. So if you want to know more, we'll find a time to chat. I'm going out of town and coming back just for one day next week, but going out of town where there is no Wi-Fi to be with my family tonight or tomorrow morning. And so that is all I wanted to say about that. So that's available, and it's definitely not for everybody. I was chatting, and hi Evelyn, if you're watching, which you will be, with Evelyn, who is our Hong Kong teacher. Evelyn Osborne is actually a teacher that I was in my undergrad with way back in the 1990s, and she runs a Suzuki program in Hong Kong where they were online for a very long time, much before we were in North America, went back in person, and now they are online again. So she's having, it's a tough time. So Evelyn and I were chatting, and she's undertaking a long-term training course with Pat Dercoli. Am I pronouncing her name correctly? And so, we can chat, and there's absolutely no pressure, because I only want people in a program who are interested in being in a program. Anyway, enough said about that. Get in touch and we'll find a time to talk. I will email out my scheduling link, and that's easy. Then you can just click and find a time that works for you week after next. And I was wondering if maybe, first of all, if there are any questions, maybe not necessarily violin specific. I want to make sure things are totally accessible. Thanks for reminding me, Gloria, that you are indeed a pianist. But also we could also play, which I think would be truly lovely. I would like to play. And I'm always reachable by email. You can always just send me an email. If something comes up, just do. So shall we play then? Yes? Okay. I would love to play, and let's do conversations. So just a reminder that conversations is I play a musical nugget, and then the next person takes that musical idea takes one element to continue it. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. We're going to do telephone first because telephone is sillier. And I really enjoyed what Sarah said when Sarah was here on Monday and we played telephone. And so she pointed out the fact about embracing whatever thing happens. So here's what we're going to do. And Marguerite, I just want to double check with you that you're there. I'm going to assume that you're not unless your camera's on. All right, and here we go. Anita has been coaching me on my alphabetical skills, and I appreciate that.
I want to play. I just need like 30 seconds, but I think
Okay.
I'll be ready by the time you start.
Wonderful. So if we're doing telephone and I go first, then Anita, are we good to do alphabetical? Uh-oh, off she runs. Come back. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, it's not about, so why don't you, yes, Anita, are you good for alphabetical? If I go first, then you're next. And all you have to do is know the person before you in the alphabet. Yes, my friends? Wonderful. And so just, you can unmute and then just mute yourself when you're done. So telephone means copy everything the other person did. Absolutely everything the previous person did. Great. Okay. That was obviously too easy. Just kidding. Here, let's do another one. Does anybody else want to start? Yes, Gloria. Wonderful. So we're going to still go alphabetical, but after Gloria's name, so that G and then the next person would be Julie. Wonderful. So we're just going to, as if we're starting the alphabet. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
Great. Okay, let's have one more person start. Different person. I'm going to nominate Suzanne. Anita, you're next.
Oh.
Great. So just a reminder to imitate everything, words and deeds. Do your best to embody the previous performer. Pamelin, why don't you start us?
Okay. Am I still? No, okay.
She's giving you so much to copy, everyone.
Sorry, Laura, I have to go.
Okay, thank you, Gloria.
Sorry. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
See you soon.
So we're starting now.
So we are 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 starting now.
So, we are starting now.
Oh, you guys are brilliant. You know, it's funny because that is such a funny, silly game, but it is actually quite challenging. It's quite challenging. There's a lot to remember to do, especially on Zoom with the muting and unmuting and the alphabet. So you're champs. I love it. And
It's funny too because like, you know, the first person delivers the thing and then you try to remember it, but then by the time it gets to you, it's changed so much that you just are like, okay, forget it. I'm just going to remember what the person right before me did.
Exactly. I have found the trickiest thing for students is if you're the leader, they always just want to play what you played. And if they're the fifth person, it's like some of them, not all, some of them have difficulty copying that person right before them. They really want to remember the first person, and that's not how this game works. This game is copying the exact previous. And I love when there's something extra. And I don't know if you noticed, and Renata, it was really beautiful, and this is because of your, and I know we've got to go, because of your accent. Pamelin said, so we're starting out, and you said, so we are, and all the rest of us did that. And that's it. That's what this is about. It's noticing. It's beautiful. It's noticing those little things, because each one of us is unique, and each one of your students is unique. And this game also allows you to notice that uniqueness. That's why I like it when a student can start. When you get to the point where you don't always have to lead it, you pay a student a great homage and a great compliment when you imitate what they did musically. Sure, this game, it's silly and it's funny, but then you can do that in the course of a musical conversation, or you're passing around a musical line and you take something, and that is a very, very high praise. When I play with great jazz musicians and they quote me, oh my gosh, I almost faint. I get a little bit, I get more nervous then than when I'm actually playing. You quoted me, my gosh. I get very red, as I am now. Thank you so much, all of you. This has been a huge privilege for me. I always looked forward to every session, and you have taught me a great deal. I have learned a lot from you, so thank you for being my teacher. And I hope to see you. I really hope we can meet in real life sometime in the future. That would be a greatest joy. But in the meantime, see you in the ether of the internet. Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Laura.
much.
You're so welcome. And you can just send your assignments.
class.
You know, if you do an assignment and it's November, I will still be delighted. I'm not saying that to be sarcastic. I'm absolutely, life happens. You do
Okay.
things when you can. I will truly be delighted. Are you kidding? I'll need a break in November.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Have a wonderful weekend.
You too.